Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Boys Blues, 1975. A YouTuber's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends used to bug you. Long Boys Blues, 1975.
Hey YouTube, Non-Boys Post 1975. It's Wednesday, just got back from work. It's about 6:30. Just cracked open a bevy. As you always know, I'm off for the next few days. Weekend, well, my weekend at least starts here. Now, for this week's Wednesday vlog, I had such fun talking nostalgia last week that I've been talking to a couple of people since then who are once again, well, you know, younger than me. Not so that they, yeah, you've read the title. It's Saturday morning TV when you're a kid was the best back in the day. And I think it's an interesting thing to talk about or share memories on, because upon where you grew up, you know, in the world, even within your own country, because of, you know, local variants of TV stations and what they could and couldn't play, you know, everyone else would have experienced different things and had different memories. And talking to this guy, he still grew up, I think anyone from the United Kingdom will agree with me, within the template that was standard Saturday morning kids TV, which we'll get to who set it up, which is my fondest memories. Which I believe ended with, what was the show that, I mean, it was after my time because I was an adult at that point, Ant and Dec did. But have you seen Saturday morning TV now? I'm not saying there isn't Saturday morning TV, I'm just saying it's not a patch on what it was when I grew up, you know. And I know we always wax poetic about memories and we get nostalgic about it, but it really, really isn't. Some of my first memories of, you know, Saturday, first of all, Saturday was a special day when you were a kid. You know, before you became a grumpy teenager and then you didn't get up. Why would you get up before 12? I mean, what was the point of that? But, you know, when you were younger than that, Saturday was a special day. Who would have thought, you know, I mean, all we want to do now on a Saturday is lie in if we haven't got anything to do. But who would have thought when you're a kid, having spent 5 days having to get up, you know, to go to school, that you would get up early on Saturday. All right, it was different because you wanted to get up for this. You didn't so much want to get up for school. I'm sure some people did, but they're bad. Excuse me. But it was really, I mean, you had like pre-Saturday morning TV, kids TV, which was like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 cartoons and stuff like that, and then the main shows would kick in. And my first memory is, and this is a very UK thing, but who remembers Saturday Swap Shop with Noel Edmonds, Keith Chegwin, Maggie Filburn, John Craven, who all went on to different shows of varying success. Obviously, Noel Edmonds is the one who really shone out of that and made himself a millionaire. Has he never not had a beard? I mean, he must have been in his 20s. But this show was brilliant. I mean, generally, my mum used to use it as an excuse to make us get up. She always used to say, you know, you can see if you're still wearing your pyjamas. And so we thought you could actually see through the TV, like it was personalised to us. And so we always got dressed for it, until one day I became a smartass and just went, I'll just get dressed behind the couch. Wow. And then she was like, you know, he's Noel Edmonds, he sees all. But yeah, so it was a show that basically Noel Edmonds sat behind a desk, other presenters, audience, kids would phone in, guests would come in, amazing prizes. Keith Chegwin would go around the country visiting people in schools, you know, it's stupidly early in the morning. I mean, well, for them it started at 9 o'clock. But it was initially, it was basically the initial template for years and years and years of what Saturday morning, at least on the BBC, would be. It was such a good format. It was absolutely fantastic. Music, musicians, the fact that you'd have these kids phone in and talk to these famous people. Some of it was cringeworthy and awkward, and asked them for their autograph and stuff like that. Some would ask brilliant questions, and then what would you'd have like I forget who it was, but was it Peter Davison came in from Doctor Who one day, and they interviewed him and had him on the phone, and all these guests would bring like very unique, and I guess if these people kept them, presents that would be worth an absolute, gifts or rewards or prizes I should say, would be worth an absolute fortune. And then you'd all answer a question, and it was always on a write the address on the front of the TV studio, and then write your answer and your address on the back of a sealed down envelope or a postcard. That became ingrained in my head. I remember, I can't remember it now, but we had the postcode for London Television Centre, BBC, absolutely committed to memory. And yeah, these gifts were amazing, and it was absolutely fantastic. And they got all kinds of famous people, and not just from TV in this country, musicians from other countries, movie TV stars from other countries, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the swap shop thing element of it, which was absolutely brilliant, would be you would phone in with something you didn't want anymore, like a toy or something like that. Maybe like a handheld game, because this is probably pre-computers. I forget when this was, but this is very early 80s. And then someone else would come in and offer a swap, and you trade on live TV on a Saturday morning show. Kids, that was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, on the other side you had Wide Awake Club, which was Wackaday, which was Wide Awake Club Day. Wackaday was the TV, the one day, every day of the week one that came out years later. But Wackaday started off as a kind of sketch show, and this was the other great thing. This show, same with Swap Shop, they would have a cartoon, maybe an American one, or then another cartoon, and you would get to see 5 minutes of a cartoon, no, 5 minutes of another cartoon, and 5 minutes of another cartoon, or sometimes one episode split into 3 parts in that show. So it was all about variant, but it was so good. And then Wackaday did the same thing, and they tried to entertain, but as well be educational. My favourite skit in Wackaday was Ghost, Monsters, and Legends. And Wackaday had a Sunday morning one as well, which was less, in your face and not as long, but they had this brilliant thing where they blindfold kids and make them eat stuff, and they had to, I hope to God they asked them, because this is back in the day, where they had nut allergies or shit like that, or gluten allergies or celiac disease, well, it could have killed the kid on live TV. But yeah, Ghost, Monsters or Legends on Wackaday was my favourite one, where they'd act out a true event of a ghost story or something like that, and it was by today's standards cringeworthy, but absolutely hilarious. And I think was Wackaday the first place I saw raccoons? That's a guess. But then after Swap Shop finished, because all the people in it wanted to go somewhere else, we got Saturday Superstore with Mike Reed and Sarah Green, who used to be on Blue Peter, and that was epic. And that was pretty much the same format as multicolored. Superstore was the same format as multicolored Swap Shop. So Saturday Morning Superstore, actually, initially in the early seasons of it, had supermarket aisles set up, and I think was it Kids won competitions to go and pick stuff off the shelves, but you had to win a competition to do it, and they had the same thing. It was more pop based because of obviously Mike Reed was a Radio 1 DJ at the time, but yeah, cartoon skits here and there, amazing prizes. Same thing, write your answer on the back of a sealed down envelope or a postcard. It was fantastic, and it just grew and grew and grew, and then to me it at least hit the pinnacle, which was Going Live. Going Live was absolutely brilliant because at this point it had a real sense of humour, and while it was aimed at kids, I wouldn't say it played outside of that, but it generally tried to be funny. And you had Kevin Simon, Swing Your Pants and stuff like that were introduced on this, weren't they? And you had was this the one, that the famous incident when they had Five Star, the band, on there, and a kid phoned in and they said, excuse me, but what would you like to say to Five Star? And this may be the reason they introduced that 3-second delay on live calls. And the person just said, I want to say that Five Star, oh fucking shit. And then Sarah Green was just there like this. Didn't know what to do. But yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. This is the end of the era that I love, but this had cartoons. This one that had Mask, or was that Wackaday? It's all blurred into one. I don't like doing research on vlogs about pure nostalgia, but then bands would play, or mime I should say, well no, play, mime in the studio, then they'd sit down and then they'd have kids phone in and rotate around the entire band. Again, amazing prizes. People would go out, visit people in their houses, but surprise them. You could nominate a friend, or they could nominate their kids without their kids knowing, and then one of the regulars from the TV studio would knock on their door and just turn up at their house and give them prizes and stuff like that, and just hang around with them for the entire morning of the show. The duration of the show was how long these people were at the house, and as a kid you were just like, this is absolutely fantastic, this is amazing. And you also used to drool over the prizes because it was stuff that you won that you could necessarily, your family couldn't afford, or stuff like that. You knew you'd never get it for Christmas, and so you were living vicariously through these children getting these amazing prizes, and everyone just had such a laugh, and even involved the cameraman and the guys with the boomsticks and stuff like that. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then on ITV, I forget it, but what was the one there at the same time which was had the Millennium Dustbin in, which was a spaceship that used to land, and they built a little set and had Gilbert, who was a puppet like Jim Henson, the alien, That was with Gaz Top. That was absolutely fantastic, and that had a segment in it which I loved as a kid because it actually had Star Glider on the Amiga, which was a video game, a wireframe video game, and people would compete. I can't remember if they called in and did it, or they actually sat in the Millennium Dustbin, didn't they? And then it was 3 rounds or something. Again, as a kid, you just sit and you drawled at it because you were just like, I want to play that game, and it was early in computer times in the country, so anything you could, because it was very not like now, and especially in the 90s. It was very, rarely seen on TV. So any glimpse you could get of any computer game on any system, you absolutely had to see. It was absolutely fantastic. Same thing. I mean, they all followed the template that was created by Multicoloured Swap Shop, but it was so bang on and absolutely perfect. Why wouldn't you? And then Millennium Dustbin, obviously it didn't used to land, they used to build it there, but pretended it did. Used to show up at theme parks and then just have open, it wasn't a studio audience, people would just go and, a certain number of people would only get to the front or whatever, but you could go on rides and shit when you were there. Amazing. And then I think it was before that there was number 73 where they built a house and a fake street, and it was number 73 with Sandy Togsvig was one of the hosts on that, and Neil Buchanan, was it Neil Buchanan? Didn't he end up in Bread? No, was it? I'm getting confused, but that was the same thing. But they built these elaborate sets, and then they would have reoccurring characters like Frank Sidebottom, or people would come in every week to ask a question or do a sketch. And this as a kid was just, you used to sit there, you used to eat your TV and watch your cereal. You used to eat your cereal and watch TV. It was brilliant. I mean, you used to have to eat at the table, even breakfast, but because it was like, I guess parents were happy that it was keeping us occupied and stuff. And we used to enter all the competitions, never won any of them, but that wasn't the point. You always felt that you might. But yeah, we used to get to eat our cereal in front of it, again, probably because it kept us quiet. But it was absolutely, these Saturday morning kids shows were they had so much character. That's why they're nostalgic, because you look at Saturday morning now and it's just a collection of they just shove cartoons together in one show with a presenter, but there's nothing that holds them all together, and they're encased within a larger show, if that makes sense. And that's why Saturday morning kids TV was absolutely amazing for me. Then you had Tiswas. Tiswas was early, probably alongside Multicoloured Swap Shop. It's such a mouthful. Well, it had Lenny Henry on it, the stand-up comedian and actor, and Chris Tarrant, and they used to custard pie people, and they had some really, really close to going outside of kids' TV humour. So much so, same format by the way, jokes, skits, sketches, clips, custard pieing people, sliming people, gunging people, stuff like that. But they became, so popular, and people were aware that there was this adult level of humour in there, that they actually got a late night version of Tiswas. Wasn't actually called Tiswas, but anyone outside the United Kingdom, or anyone not of my age group in the United Kingdom, please look up these shows. I'll name the shows in the doohickey down below, but you have to look them up to understand this is a bygone era. I don't think, like I said, it ended possibly in the very late 90s or very early noughties. I hate saying noughties. With, at least to me, was the last one with Anson Deck on, and that was, this sort of formula that was created by, what time am I on? Created by Multicoloured Swap Shop. But this to me is just the pinnacle of, why Saturday was great, why you got up for Saturday. Kids TV, cartoons, so you would get to see. They really went all out to get cartoons you never even heard of. Like I said, a lot of American stuff showed up in this, and Transformers and things like that. But Saturday morning kids TV, it's a bold statement, but for me, it was just so much better back in the day, and it really was such a great part, of growing up. Just you start at 7, but like I said, the main show would kick in at 9, and then it would end at 12. Your whole first half of Saturday was just taken up, you entertained by people who were making shows deliberately. They weren't just showing cartoons or anything, cartoon after cartoon after cartoon that already pre-existed. They were making shows aimed at kids to entertain kids, engross kids, and interact with them. And that, I guess that's why this formula, ran for so long, because it was so absolutely perfect. So there's another video for another time, which was Saturday tea time TV when you're a kid, but I'd love to know what your memories are on the Saturday I was going to say Saturday Night Live, the Saturday kids TV programs that you watched as a kid, and what era it was that you grew up in, and what were your favourite shows and your favourite moments, and generally, do you think that this is something that's sad that it's gone, it's not around in the manner that it used to be, that to me was the pinnacle of kids Saturday morning TV. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.